Welcome to IMC Live, the interactive webinar series hosted by the Industrial Marketing Collective. We're here to help you make connections, learn, and get results for your business. I'm Erin Burrish, the strategy director here at the Industrial Marketing Agency, Gorilla 76, and one of your IMC Live hosts. Today, we are tackling a topic that comes up in industrial marketing a lot, and that is how do I get my SMEs, my subject matter experts, to post more on LinkedIn and become industry thought leaders? Harnessing the power of organic LinkedIn from individual profiles has a lot of opportunity. I know a lot of people in this audience do it themselves to talk about industrial marketing. After all, people want to follow people, not companies. But we know this can have a major impact on business results as well. So we are joined by Rich Ward of Acromat to share his story of building an organic thought leadership-based strategy on LinkedIn, including some pretty cool results. So Rich, thanks so much for being here. You want to say hi and introduce yourself?
Sure. Yeah, I'm Rich. I lead marketing at Acromat. We design and manufacture custom anti-fatigue mats for standing workers in manufacturing, retail, and food processing environments. And I guess like probably many of you here today, I'm a one-person team right now. I have a bit of contracted help, but I do everything from strategy to content creation to design and distribution. So I've had to find a lot of creative ways to bring our company along, and I've leaned on the IMC and Gorilla 76 community for some time. So I'm excited to be here to share a bit about what we're doing, with the hope that might help, but also learn from everybody else here. So really happy to be here.
And we're happy to have you. All right. So jumping on in here, how did you identify the need for this strategy? How did this come about originally?
Sure. So I joined Acromat about 2 years ago. I came from a really big engineering firm here in the Midwest, 1,000 people, and one of my roles internally was traveling to different offices and presenting on the value of LinkedIn. How to build your personal brand, how to build your profile, how and when to post, what to post, things like that. And as a marketer, I've used LinkedIn for years to network and to learn and to build my personal brand as I was trying to grow my own career. And we realized at the time is, we have 1,000 people at this company. The potential, if we could activate them in terms of bringing our brand to life, could be pretty extravagant. And so that was my role, one of my roles there. And trying to grow in my own marketing leadership career, I left that company as a marketing specialist and joined where I'm now, Acromat, to lead our marketing strategy, to kind of build it from the ground up. We're a 15-person company. We're really growing fast because we do something that's unique that nobody else in our field does, which is custom mats. But as a small company, our sales team, our company as a whole, previously was doing exclusively outbound, and it works really well because we have a unique product, and our sales process leads with let's make you a free sample mat. But our founder and general manager realized for our company to scale to the level that we know it can, we needed to build marketing. And so that's where I came in. And there wasn't a marketing strategy in place, so I had to build that from the ground up. And as a marketer who's brand new to industrial and new to a marketing leadership role and brand new to what anti-fatigue mats are and how they work, I had to spend, that first year just learning a ton, sitting on sales calls, customer research, talking to subject matter experts, things like that, honing our value proposition. We went through a rebrand, but of course, as marketers, nobody's going to wait a year for results. And so I had to find some low-hanging fruit right away, some quick wins. And one of those was turning our webinars from like sales pitches to educational sessions, inviting on subject matter experts to kind of share a depth of knowledge that we didn't have. Reddit, fascinatingly, which I was actually on the manufacturing marketing podcast that went up today talking about that. So that was really a fun, kind of exciting way that ties in with this. But the third was launching our company on LinkedIn. I think most of us follow thought leaders on LinkedIn who share insight that really helps us as marketers. I follow a number of you on Gorilla 76. LinkedIn ads is a big one, so comes somebody like Justin Rowe. And I thought, I'm not seeing this anywhere as it relates to how anti-fatigue mat works, what makes one mat different than the other, why they're made a certain way. And in terms of our competitors, all I was seeing was advertisements like, here's why our mat's the best, buy one, get one, things like that. So I felt like as a small company, small team, limited budget, there was a competitive advantage opportunity there. If we could make Acromat the voice of anti-fatigue mats, or more of an authority, I guess, that could be a potential to just, quick wins, get started, big impact. And so that's where it started. And I guess away we went from there.
Awesome. So, Rich, how did you what were your first couple of steps once you decided okay, I really want to harness organic LinkedIn. I'm learning so much in my, first couple of months here. What initial steps did you take to build the program you have today?
Sure. So we had a LinkedIn profile, but we weren't active. So I immediately went to the content we had and started posting from our company profile. I made our company profile more aligned with our website. I started posting regularly from my own personal account and boosting posts, creating a few cheap ad campaigns. But one of the things I did right away is I'm like, well, I know the effect this can have. I've taught this to people. We need to get our sales team on board. And I couldn't get buy-in. They've got weekly targets, they've got sales goals. Why should they step away from their day-to-day to do something that's unproven? And so for but actually the first year, it was just me, our company account, me for my personal account. And so I used LinkedIn in the way I wanted our founder to do it, or at least the way I envisioned our team doing it. And I thought if I could prove the value of LinkedIn as a tool to share educational content, connect, engage with our ICP, and build our audience and drive leads, eventually they will buy in. So as I was learning and talking to our ICP, as I was building our marketing plan and learning everything I could about anti-fatigue mats, I started to share that on LinkedIn. It's included like 4 to 5 posts a week, specifically focused on the pain points our clients have, the questions we most often receive, conversations I was having with people that I was connecting with on LinkedIn, while building in like what sets Acromat apart. I think in addition to just posting and trying to post the right content, I needed to build the audience because I'm a marketer. I connect with marketers. My previous audience was people from an engineering company, just not our target market. So I had to build an audience or it wasn't going to reach anybody. And so I started sending personal connection requests to people who liked my posts or followed our page, with a personal note saying like, happy to be a resource. Thanks for the engagement. Sending connection requests to people engaged with our ads, following up with them a few days after engaging with our ads saying, hey, we'd be happy to make you a free sample mat if you're ever interested in comparing to what you currently use. And then I also was reaching out to industrial thought leaders, safety managers, our target market, and asking them if I could, hey, could I pick your brain on this topic and learn from you? So slowly and building by posting, but also making sure we were bringing in the right audience into my feed. And yeah, that's how it started. That's how the first year went, and slowly but surely started to pay off.
Perfect. And what kind of content were fueling your early LinkedIn efforts? Where were you going to?
So we had I probably still to this day spend like 800 on ads, and we do use those to drive to landing pages or to our website. But in terms of our company page and my page, it's organic, is just like all on channel. So I'll put like a call to action in a comment after a post, but even so, that's usually a link to another LinkedIn post. I realize like people are on LinkedIn, they're using the channel for a reason. They're not looking to jump to another page or another page. So I was trying to focus our content on things that are on LinkedIn. And so I guess content-wise, I'm not a designer by any means. I don't have a designer. I'm fortunate. I'm hiring one right now, but I had to learn Canva and iMovie and things like that. So I made a lot of carousels with Canva, a lot of videos with iMovie. I guess not to any expert level, but enough to make our message clear. And so a couple examples, like the 7 most common anti-fatigue mat safety hazards. It's actually something I posted this morning as an easy example. Like building in before and afters and some solutions, talking about our product, 10 signs you need new mats, why your anti-fatigue mats curl and how they can be designed or built to prevent that from happening. 5 ways custom mats reduce workplace injuries, topics like that you might see in a blog that worked well as carousels or just written posts, excuse me. And then I also tried things like mat minutes, covering a question we may have received from a prospect and like 2 minutes or less, call those mat minutes. Like why do operators stack their mats? What's the ergonomic impact when you've got 3 mats stacked on top of each other? Breaking out our webinars into short clips for social. I was doing a lot of product tests in our production facility, like what happens if you roll a chair on an anti-fatigue mat? What happens if we soak a mat in water? Because a lot of our clients have oily environments for weeks on end, things like that. And then sharing all of that, not just to our website and our newsletter, but in ways on channel on LinkedIn. I guess one other example, we do, again, I mentioned like we do something nobody else in our field does, which is custom mats. They look really cool, really sharp when they're built before we ship them. And as part of our sales process, we offer free custom samples so that prospects can experience that benefit before they have any obligation. And when we would finish a custom sample mat, I would take a video with my iPhone and I would say, hey, we just finished up your custom sample mat. I wanted to give you a quick video of the finished product. Here's how we constructed the borders, a reminder of our warranty. Upload that to YouTube, send it over to sales as an unlisted YouTube video. And that then gave the prospect a sneak peek of what's on its way. It allowed that manufacturing engineer or whatever to be kind of the hero to their team and build some excitement, add some personalization from our end, but then also for my benefit gave me like easy content that translated to LinkedIn. So just finding creative ways with carousels with my phone related to the content we're already creating to position that on LinkedIn for, I guess, easy consumption.
Yeah, and it seems like a lot of that was just the simple they ask you answer. What are people already wanting to know, and how can I provide that in the most digestible way possible on platform? And I think that maybe that'll help people in the chat that have been struggling with getting others on their team to do more than just share whatever the company is doing or even participate at all. Like, hey, are there things that you really wish customers would quit asking you or prospects would quit asking you that they wish they'd already knew? Then, maybe that's a great way to start.
Yeah. And it can be overwhelming on LinkedIn to like, oh, I got to sit down and come up with something to post. But if you're building your creation and distribution flywheel around what your client's pain points are and how your product solves it, you're already creating that content, and so you're just finding ways to kind of reposition it in different ways on LinkedIn, which is what we're doing. And it also like has the benefit extrapolates, because if somebody then reaches out, you have that content created, you can push them towards it, and it just lets them know like, hey, they know their stuff and they've got an answer for it. So I built a little bit of trust and credibility in other ways too.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah. Well, we've got a question from the chat. Do you find that videos are more effective? Have you tested like carousels versus single image? What are you seeing in terms of like visuals performing well organically?
Yeah, great question. One I know one of the questions we're going to talk about is like, what are you excited about for 2025? And this is not new, but video is going to be big for us. I'm not a talking head. I don't have video experience, so like at this point, I don't really even know how to create an easy talking head video other than to like film myself on Zoom. And so I have done some of those minute videos, but I think I overcomplicated it. But I found those really perform well. Like people want to learn from people. If they see somebody talking like Alan, I know you do a lot of really great stuff with that. It's really effective. And so that does perform really well for us. I think I do a little too much product video and not enough of us talking about it. So like more writing and less video. And I want to reverse that in the year ahead because we see that paying off. And I think I see a lot of carousels of like a SEO checklist or something on LinkedIn that is giving you tips. And I think we are in a very visual medium in manufacturing. We can see how our product's made. We have unique insight into why our product is made a certain way over different. And with carousels, you can put an image side by side, have a little text, and explain that in a visual way if you maybe aren't comfortable with video or don't yet have the tools to do video. So I don't know if that answers the question exactly, but I probably do an equal mix of like single image, carousel, video, and as we go on based on the results, I want to do more videos of our people talking in the year ahead.
Perfect. And what other results have you seen so far?
Yeah, I think for us, this is the exciting part. Our ICP includes EHS managers, safety specialists, coordinators, manufacturing engineers, corporate agronomists, production managers, and roles like that. And I think one of the biggest results that we've had that isn't necessarily a stat, and we have some of those, but was just learning that our target ICP is very clearly on here on LinkedIn. I think like the next generation of leaders in manufacturing, they're very technologically savvy. We're a safety product company, and this generation, the 25 to 45, really does care about health and safety. Like they want to go home as safe and healthy as when they arrived. They want their people to go home safe and healthy, and so they are actively looking for ways to do things better. And similar to how I use LinkedIn to learn from other marketers, again, like Gorilla 76, they're also on whether it's Reddit or LinkedIn or YouTube, they're trying to learn from other industrial leaders. And so the more I connected with these people, the more I posted relevant content that I know was answering their pain points, whether it drove them to our content or not, the more hand raisers, or I guess leads, we started to see. And so I guess from a qualitative perspective, it's just learning, hey, our audience is on here. They're still interested in learning. LinkedIn is a tool for that. We do it as marketers. It makes sense why industrial people, manufacturing engineers and the like would do it too. And so I guess with that in the first year alone, and I think it's important to keep in mind, I tell our company this all the time, I'm a marketing manager. I'm not the client facing credibility that people are looking to learn from when it comes to ergonomic products. But just for me personally, being on LinkedIn, I was able to attribute over $200,000 in revenue towards leads that came from LinkedIn. And so we're like a $5 to $6 million revenue company, so not massive, but when it's mostly organic and it's the marketing manager, that kind of taught our sales team like, whoa, if the marketing manager can do this, this benefit, if we're all united, could really drive revenue. And so a couple other examples are the biggest contract we ever signed in company history at that time, which has since become 2024 revenue, and nearly doubled that number that I just shared, was a lead that came through LinkedIn when somebody saw one of my posts and reached out. I guess I can share the company. It's Stitch Fix, which is like a clear target market for us. Couple other hand raisers just from this year, like Amazon, Big S fans, Toyota Mazda, one of the safety leaders with that company, was actually using LinkedIn to search best custom anti-fatigue mats, saw my profile, reached out. And so I guess collectively, like 30% of our leads today come from LinkedIn. And I think we're on pace for about 600 this year, which is more than double from last year. So if you think 30% of that almost coming exclusively from LinkedIn. And we do ads, it's not just organic content. Like it's not just post and they show up. It's teeth pulling, it's a grind, but it's step by step. It's really been, paid a lot of dividends. And I think on a smaller scale, it's helped our company page grow from 50 to 1,000 followers, which just continue to shows our company as somebody you maybe want to pay attention to, I guess, in this field, and drives traffic to our website. It allows me to learn more about our ICP. So things like that. It's like really hard to keep people active. I can't. Every time I'm talking to somebody in our company, I'm like, hey, that'd make a great LinkedIn post. And so it can be discouraging. I think right now we're in a bit of a lull. But if I look back at the numbers and I look where we started 2 years ago to being on pace for, more than $500,000 in revenue that I can directly tie to marketing this year, then I can say, hey, the hard work is paying off. We need to keep investing in this. And so scratching the surface, we've got a lot of improvements to make, I think, but it's been working, and there's more room to grow. So.
Yeah, those are some incredible results, Rich. And remind us all, you started at Acromat 2 years ago. So how long has this strategy kind of been working?
Since the beginning of 2023. So yeah, almost 2 years. And I like that first year was a lot of learning and a lot of ugly graphics from my end. Like I just, again, not a designer. It's been cool to be able to learn and to do that. But almost 2 years, to the point where we've now, consistently made it into a lead driver, and something that as I plan next year, I can say, hey, we can count on this amount of leads and potentially this amount of revenue from this channel.
Yeah, I wanted to point that out because I feel like where a lot of people get discouraged is in kind of the time it takes to build this engine. But the consistency, obviously the results followed for your team. So that's a really cool kind of mini case study within this episode, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I certainly empathize with the, it takes time. And I think because we do anti-fatigue mats, people are, I think, hesitant to a post because they're like, well, they're going to get slammed with a bunch of sales emails. And so there's a lot of lurkers. There'll be a lull for a couple of weeks. You're like, man, is this even working? And then boom, you get that lead and you're like, okay, this is a reminder that if it's part of our greater marketing strategy, then it's playing an important role in that, and we are seeing the results. But it can be discouraging. Like I posted today, it's got 2 likes, and it's like, man, nobody's seeing this. But it's if you tie it back to the pipeline and traffic and things like that, it shows that over time it does help.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not all in the daily stats.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and we
Which
had
hard to. Oh, I'm sorry. That's hard to explain to sales though, because they're like, what's that instant gratification? Where's the lead? Like, it's a long-term play. Just stick with
Yeah.
it.
That's working with sales for you.
Yeah.
And we had a question in the chat that relates to what we already had coming up. But Matthew Olson asked, how do you talk to leadership about investing the amount of time necessary to make this work? And we were about ready to ask you what helped you convince others to participate in this. So, yeah, take it away.
Yeah, man, I wish I could say it was something other than results. You know, for me, results first and foremost. Our team was seeing that, hey, and I share it like very vocally every time we got a lead. Like, look at this lead that we just booked, this big sale that has since become, leads at other sites. This started as a LinkedIn lead. So talking to them is just be very vocal and reminding people. I have a couple ways that we do that. I build it into, like, we have a marketing corner on our company newsletter. I have month-end email reports where I share lead highlights and things like that. But the results and has been a big thing. And I think um, just showing them, like, hey, if a marketer can do this, and you can tie it back to numbers, say like, look, what would happen? Imagine if we, 4 or 5x this. I think another thing for me that was really helpful is just it requires a lot of hand holding. Like, unfortunately, it does, but just making posting easy. When I post something or the company posts something or we have new content, I've created like a library of posts on Teams that's you can go in, you can see the topic, you click in, there's my copy, there's the media, you download the media, you copy paste it. So people on our company, if they're like, oh, I don't have a post for this week, they can go in and find it and they can tweak it to make it their own voice and then share that. If that's a webinar and it's broken up into 3 videos and things like that. So just making it easy, making sure there's a well to draw from. Another thing that we did, and I don't think this is like sustainable long term. Again, we're only 15 people. We're probably going to double that within the next year, but still trying to incentivize it a bit, highlighting posts that performed well and the reports I was sharing, shouting out people when they created like a great post or whatever, but even trying things like $10 gift cards. If, anytime somebody got a 10 like post, come stop by my desk and grab a $10 gift card to Target or whatever. And so I don't think that's sustainable, but trying to build momentum by showing the value and then giving them, kind of fun ways to stay active and making it easy has been helpful to get more people involved. And as the results have shown, there's really no excuse anymore to say, well, I don't have the time, because now we can say, well, you have to make the time.
Yeah. If you're making it easy on people and it's producing results, like it's pretty hard to say no to that.
Yeah.
Speaking of results, we got a question in the chat from Brian about how you're attributing these leads or how you know they're coming from LinkedIn. Is that through self-reported attribution, or do you use other metrics to determine that?
Yeah. So we don't have like an automated way to really track it. So if somebody comes to our website from somewhere and purchases immediately, which you can do, it's more rare because we have partnerships that we build and we make custom mats, and it will say where they came from. So I can see in that way. But usually when I have like my long spreadsheet that who's the lead, what's their position title, and then where they came from. And so I've like drilled it in. We have a living document, and I've drilled it into people's brains. Like, I need to know where they come from so that I can, as I'm planning, tie that back to a certain engine. And so, as I am handling our social and as I'm the most vocal person on LinkedIn, usually I'm the one engaging with that lead and passing it off to sales. We handle that off to customer service now, but still we're just manually reporting that so that we can tie every lead to a specific source. I don't know. I think as we grow, if we're getting thousands and thousands of leads, it's going to be more difficult to keep doing it that way. But it's a manual process now to just like try to drill into where every quality lead comes from and be able to tie that back to a source. Whether that's, you follow up on a lead and you say, hey, we're happy to help. What do you need? Hey, by the way, how did you hear about us? And what were you searching for? Where'd you start? Things like that. But I think like when we use our ads, when we have an ad running and somebody likes an ad, I'll send them a personal engagement connection request and say, hey, thanks for the engagement. And then I'll follow up and say, would you be interested in a 3x5 or a custom mat to compare to what you currently use? And if they raise their hand and say, yeah, then I'll make that lead, hand it over to sales or customer service, and then I'll track that in my report so that I can look back after the quarter or the month or the week and say, these leads were specifically from this source. So it's a lot of, manual work, but that's how we've been doing it to this point. So I'd be happy to hear how other people do it if there's any other better, more automated ways, but that's what we do.
Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of work, we talked about how you tried to make this as easy as possible for people to get content and post. But how did you go about training the sales team around this strategy in general? How did you get them involved and bought in?
Sure. Yeah. So I have created like a LinkedIn playbook that we give to every new hire their first week. I call it a playbook. It's a Word document. I'm turning it into a PowerPoint presentation that's a little more uh, bite-sized and easy to consume, but it includes 10 steps for building your LinkedIn profile, statistics about how LinkedIn is used today, the success we've had, other things I include in there, banner photo option, headline examples, about summary examples, how to edit your profile URL so it's not all those numbers, where to find the library of content that I've created, and then steps and how to post certain types of content. So if you're uploading a carousel versus an image versus a video, I have a LinkedIn corner in our company newsletter where I highlight leads from that month with stats and tips and new post ideas, especially with the sales team being out a lot. I really encourage take a video of a mat inspection you're doing, or get the before, because you're going to go back and install it so you can get the after. If they're willing, take a picture with them saying it's great to be here, things like that. And then when we have key pieces of content, I'll share that in an email with like 3 to 4 post options along with screen grabs of the step-by-step, here's how to post this. And so every Acromat employee, we encourage them to post at least once a week at minimum, sharing content from the LinkedIn library that I built, but also other key things within our focus areas and what they're doing. So like our operations manager, trying to teach him how to share more about the operations that we do out back and how that makes our mats unique, or HR, more culture, things like that. But and I guess one other little thing we've done, because we've had success and because I've gained a bit more of a seat at the table, is we actually put it in our job description now. And it's not like you will be a sales, a account manager and a LinkedIn specialist. No, it's just like be a company ambassador on LinkedIn. And so it just kind of builds that in early on. It's like not necessarily mandatory, but the expectation is we're a small company. We all have stake in this. We have profit sharing. There's something in it for everybody. Let's all work together. And one of those things is being a voice on LinkedIn. So from a playbook to the most mundane tips of how to build your profile to steps on how to post, where to find that content, and then even kind of building that in early on with the job description that you're applying for that says, hey, we're hoping you can be an ambassador for the company on LinkedIn as well.
Mm-hmm. We got a couple questions in the chat that we can go ahead and knock out real quick. But
Sure.
going back to results, can you share what the average monthly volume of your website page views has been since you got the LinkedIn efforts really charged?
Yeah, good question. So we average like 4,000 views a month on our website, which is not a ton of traffic. We are competing against companies 10 times our size, the Uline, the Granger. There's a lot of other mat companies who've been in business much longer than us. So for 4,000 for us, looking at last year, is a pretty exceptional amount. When I look at LinkedIn, it's not a big number of that. It's like 300 or 400 a month. So we're not driving a ton of traffic to our website from LinkedIn, but that's also because our focus has been, let's provide on-channel content so that when you're ready, you can reach out to our general manager, myself, our operations manager, our business development manager. So I don't know, again, I don't know if that's best practice necessarily. I think I could definitely get more strategic and creative with driving more people to our website. We're actually, making our ads. We're starting to build in like retargeting and things like that. But to this point, we're less trying to drive traffic to the website and more so providing content on channel. So at this point, it's a few hundred a month. It's grown for sure. Like that was less than 100 at first, so it's grown, that's for sure, because people are presumably seeing something that resonates with them, and they're then jumping to our website and looking up more to see if we'd be a fit for them. But
Yeah,
that's it. That's it at this point.
And especially early on, I feel like that's important to build up your authority on platform and get people used to seeing you before you try to take them somewhere else.
Yeah. And it's hard too, because like I am judged on leads, like I have a weekly lead target, and we have, fortunately, because we now grade our leads based on quality A, B, C, D, and we now can able to say, okay, this one A lead was 10 times worth the D lead, and so you have one great lead a week. That's better than 10 poor leads the next week, and so that's shifted. But I'm still judged based on leads, and so for me, it can be hard. And the sales is hard to be like, okay, we got to post something that drives leads. We got to drive more traffic, and it's like it's like that diligent, brick by brick building where you're like, it's a long-term play. You can't always tie a number to something, but yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
I
But
am
the advantage,
I'm sorry, my my website, my battery's dying. I'm gonna run and grab my cord really quick.
oh yeah, for sure. I was just gonna say, like, when you are the advantage of an organic strategy like that is it takes a lot of effort on your part. But once you get that engine rolling, it's not something you have to get like budget for. Like you don't have to ask for more money from leadership. You just have to ask for a little bit of their time. So that's kind of if you are like, oh gosh, I can't get any paid media budget. I think that's a good trade-off, maybe, if it's like you either pay in money or you pay in time to get in front of these people. So
Mm-hmm. And while we're waiting on Rich, I just wanted to touch on something that we didn't get a chance to talk to as much earlier about getting over the mental barrier for some people that don't like to talk to a bunch of different people or feel like it's too intimidating to speak to the wide internet. And I just have a little hint on that, that if you can think about talking to one person in your audience while you're presenting, it makes it a lot easier. If you can think of one person who is really going to appreciate this content, that this is for them, then you can get over the idea that you're talking to everyone and that intimidation factor. So, but Rich is back, so we can quit talking about that for me.
No, I think that I'm a self-conscious person. I started with no manufacturing audience, and so posting about anti-fatigue meds, I'm like, oh man, I'm overwhelming my friends, my former colleagues. They don't want to hear this, and so I still feel that way a lot of times. But like you said, if you can focus in on, okay, somebody is looking for this, or this message will help at least one person, it can be a helpful focus point. But
mhm.
Aaron, to your point about you're not necessarily asking for more budget, you're just asking for time. Like we're a 15-person company, we're growing very fast, but I still have very limited budget. And as many of us in this audience, like we have to find ways to win in the margins. We have to find competitive advantages that to do things that our competitors aren't doing. And so for us, that has been getting active on LinkedIn because it's just not something our competitors are doing in the same way. And I think we have so many ways that it needs to be better, but it is one of those ways. It's like, hey, I don't have a lot of budget. How can I get creative? How can I learn? How can I show the company the work that I'm doing? And that's been one way for us. And so we do spend on LinkedIn, but it's very, very minimal compared to where we spend in other places.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and one quick thing from the chat too before we move on, but is your playbook shareable with the group? Can you share it with the class?
Yeah. I probably gotta take a couple things out of it, but I'd be happy to share that.
All right, we have some interested people.
Sure. Yeah. Again, I'm not a designer, so don't expect something eye popping. But I think the information has been helpful for us, and I'd be happy to share that. So, is
All
there a
right,
Awesome.
best way to share that post?
Probably posting it in the Industrial Marketing Collective on the
Okay.
circle.so if you're in there.
Sure.
Cool. And we can still put it in Slack too while Slack is still active.
Okay.
But that will, end at the end of this year. So awesome. Well, we're getting kind of close to the end of time, but I want to ask, like you alluded to it earlier, Rich, but I want to ask that question, like, what are you excited to try next? Like channels, strategies. You already mentioned video a bit, but what's exciting you for 2025?
Yeah, I'm not trying to just shout out a podcast I was just on, but I was able to talk to Nihal, one of your colleagues, about Reddit, and how we use Reddit at Acromat to drive leads and to drive revenue. And I think that's one way that I'm excited in 2025 is to lean a little more into that. We don't spend on Reddit, but we've kind of taken, I guess, to make it very simple and very short. So people are on Reddit like they're on LinkedIn, like they're on Amazon, like they're on any channel, trying to find answers to their problems. What is the best anti-fatigue mat? How do they work? What is the best material? How do I stop my mat from sliding? Those are the kind of questions our clients are asking. And I've been searching Reddit subreddits and also just individual Reddit threads and finding there's a lot of people on there asking questions about anti-fatigue mats, and have been kind of sliding into those and saying, hey, I work for an anti-fatigue mat company. We manufacture them, so we have really kind of direct insight into how they're made. Here's what I would recommend, or here's what we do. If you're interested, let me know. And that has been one way that's driven leads for us. So just dedicating more time to Reddit and spending more time finding the right subreddits and threads and potentially building into some Reddit ads is something we're considering. And then I think the other thing is just video is not new or unique necessarily, but YouTube is a big search engine. And so we want to have like an answer to every question somebody might ask in written and video form. And so that's one of our big focuses next year, is making sure that's available on all sorts of channels.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then also, as we wrap up, you're obviously very active on LinkedIn. Is that a good place for people to connect with you?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of anti-fatigue mat talk on my Reddit, but if you search Richard Ward or Acromat, it's not hard to find me. So I'd love to connect and hear what other people are doing that's helpful and ways we can get better at what we're doing, because certainly not an expert by any means, and that's a very loose term. But yeah, I'd love to connect and chat if I can help in any way.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Well,
we
I
appreciate
don't know
that.
about you. I don't know about you, Alan, but sounds like I feel like we're pretty good to wrap up here. So
Yeah.
thank you everyone so much for joining. I'll just do the last couple announcements we always do. You can join us in the Industrial Marketing Collective. We just mentioned that's the best place to kind of share resources. It's where we're moving from Slack. It's on a platform called circle.so, but you can go to industrialmarketingcollective.com to join that, or that link is always in our emails that we send you. So if you're on that list, just find the last email we sent you and you can find the link to join. We also have the Industrial Marketing Summit happening in 2025. Registration for that is open. Join us in Austin, Texas again this year, February 26th through 28th. And next time, November 21st, we will be talking about the power of the mid-sized trade show with Andrew LeGrand, who I think is here. So we'll get to chat with him next time, but that's all we got.
Everyone go write a LinkedIn post.
Yes.